What's up, Star Wars Unlimited fans? It's Loopy at Late Night Gaming, and we are here for the first Set 5 Masterclass. And I'm here with two expert players that you probably know already, both members of the KTOD competitive team. First, we have John F. Tatta. How you doing?
Hello, doing great. Happy to be back.
All right, and where did you recently play Qi'ra and do well? Little event?
Yeah, small event in Richmond, right around 600 players. Did pretty well, got top 8.
And how actually was the top 8 match decided? Was it thumb wrestling?
Well, I looked at Alex and decided that since I have a job and he didn't, that he might need it more than me. So just, he got it.
Would you have beat him?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I was confident that I was going to win the tournament, but I also thought that he could win. So
the Sabine player played very well, too. And then we also have my friend Woo, who has his own channel. And have you played Qi'ra before?
Just a couple times.
So this is a delayed masterclass, and actually Woo is a lot of the reason for that. Frankly, if you go to his videos, the deep dive videos, he had one in set 2. I think there was one maybe in set 3 on Qi'ra 30, and then there's an hour and a half deep dive for set 4 too.
Yeah.
So
and an update.
And an update this week. So, actually the format is consistent with what the masterclass is. He actually goes in depth through every card in the list and then goes through every matchup, kind of what we did. So, if you have not watched the deep dive in set 4 and you're trying to do Qi'ra, just pause this video right now, go to Woo, give him a like and subscribe while you're there, and just watch that hour and a half video and then the update, because we are assuming that you've seen all of it. This is going to be more a master's doctorate, level. We're going to go through deck tuning, and we're going to go through matchups, and we're going to talk a lot about turning the corner. But it didn't make sense to me to just repeat your video, and I doubt Tatta disagrees with much from Woo's video. Am I right about that?
I have not watched Woo's video, to be honest with you. But I would probably not disagree, correct.
And you did use a list that was pretty similar to Woo's for Richmond.
I actually used Woo's exact list for Richmond.
No, you cut an Inferno 4 for an Onyx route.
Yes.
Because you didn't have 3 Inferno 4s.
Yeah, I didn't have 3 Hyperspace Inferno 4s, so I played one of the Onyx Squadron ones, yeah.
All right.
That's true. So it is my list, I guess, then.
So, very good. So, let's actually get to the list. So, we're going to spend a bunch of time on matchups today, and we want to keep this interesting, but we have to get to the first slide here. This is, I think, actually Woo's current list from...
this is the one that I played at the PQ a few days ago.
Okay, has it?
But it's not but I've already made some changes.
Okay, so, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about changes and tweaking for the meta. But tell me about the PQ run, that you had, and kind of what you updated between the two lists that you did.
Yeah, so since Tatta's event in Richmond, there's been a couple newcomers. One main newcomer, which is Ray Data Vault, within like a week became what looked like very popular, and I did play it twice at the PQ. And then there's also now another Data Vault deck, the Young Han Data Vault is another one that I'm seeing more attention to. But basically, these are green hero decks, and there's a very good card that no one's ever played in these decks against green hero decks, and that's that Assault Cruiser, the 7/8 ambushing ship for 8 that's in that sideboard. It's a Slayer of Home 1, right? It kills Home 1 and lives. These decks typically also just play other ships like Bright Hope and Blue Leader that it can just swallow up and ramp you, skip past Avenger, go straight to Devastator, which is a good card in these matchups. Avenger is actually often pretty bad card against these Ray decks, even against Han Green, right? Han Green's another one of these green hero decks. So that was probably the biggest new card change that made this deck since Tatta's run, and I think it's a very important card right now. These decks that it eats up also just like don't have good answers for it. Like they don't play like pings, right? Like it doesn't matter if it has 1 health or 7 health. They basically have to spend a card to kill it. And yeah, it eats the most important card in that matchup. It ramps you. I think that's important. The child, since I put in the sideboard, they were in Tatta's main deck during the event. I'm not even sure I would play them going forward. I'm always unsure about Childson in general, but the rest, I guess the restock, right? That entered the main deck. That's for the mirror. We can talk about that during the matchups if you want.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And that certainly is going to be playing in one particular matchup. I mean, I think the only deck I've seen play that Architins early was Piet, which hasn't picked up, but I mean, it's certainly strong into big hero space. This is your list. It was actually before that. Tatta, tell us about kind of the Childson. Let's talk about that before we get into the matchups here. What are the pros and cons of Mr. Chili?
Yeah, so before Richmond, we would talk as a team just to try to figure out the best tech for Sabine, because we knew that Sabine was going to be one of the top decks. And I think Childson, I don't know who brought it up. Maybe it was Mike or someone like that, but someone had mentioned Childson, and it's like, well, let's give him a try. They played him back during Gencon and liked him a lot. They had like an in-person testing session before Richmond, and he performed, pretty well. So, I decided to trust the team on that and play him. And he was very good. Most of the time he was a 5/5. I think once in 12 rounds he was a 6/6. Like that doesn't happen. But usually a 4/4 or a 5/5. But what he does is if like Sabine doesn't like kill him right away, you can shield him with Qi'ra oftentimes and then just kind of snowball the game from there. So he's basically just in there for Sabine. He does have some other niche uses against maybe some other decks that are fast. Like it doesn't come up very often, but it's just Sabine tech.
And you're typically playing him on Qi'ra flip turn, which is the same as Sabine flip turn, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, he's a full resource play. Like you want to play him typically on their flip turn, kind of regardless, because if they don't, get him right away, it just bricks their whole turn. Right.
And I mean, it's really, if they're thinking ahead, they have a 3 attack and a fleet lieutenant that maybe can remove him right away. But otherwise, I mean, typically Sabine's looking for a dark saber to take care of him. And
there's a lot, right? The fleet lieutenant, heroic sack on a unit, dark saber. Of course, if he's only at 4, it opens way more options. I actually played, and a lot of other people have played like the ATRT, and like that's actually what I played in the main deck at the PQ because he always has 5 health, and I thought maybe that's more important than like the potential spike of a 5/5 where you like eliminate that downside of like maybe he's only a 4/4, and you just like play the guy that will always have 5 health, and then I boarded in extras, right? I played Childson, so then I just had like a bunch of these 4-drop sentinels to play.
Yeah, well, that's what we talked about then after the event was it was kind of tossed around like maybe ATRT is better. And, there's pros and cons to him as well. Like he always just has, like 3 attacks. So he's not trading with much, but he does always have 5 defense. So he's harder to kill. So, there's trade-offs.
I had a spicy Qi'ra. I'll put a Iden on that thing. That was super fun.
Yeah.
When it was cool.
Yeah, that's something you can do.
All right, so let's talk about the first matchup. We're going to go through the 7 kind of main matches that are existing right now as we're getting ready. It's the Minnesota Regional in 2 weeks as we're recording. I imagine that this deck will continue to go. But Sabine ECL has been around since the beginning. What's your game plan into Sabine first, briefly? Let's start with John. Did you play Sabine in Richmond?
I played Sabine 4 times, yeah, in 12 rounds. I went 3-1 against it. My only loss was to Will, the champion.
Yep.
All the matchups played out roughly the same. I got pretty lucky in that I was able to ramp most games against Sabine, so we were like matching flip turns. That's the big thing. A lot of people might think that ramp isn't good against aggro, but it's actually one of the best things you could possibly do. Mostly because you can flip on their flip turn, which just makes them have to have an answer right away. And then the way you often win, or the way that I was winning anyway, is to kind of clean up the ground from turns, 2 through 5-ish, and then kind of pivot to space and just try to turn off their timelies and ECL as much as possible, and just try to win with gunship or like Devastator. That seemed to work pretty well. Usually, if you can stabilize around 20-ish life, you can generally win from there. You just have to be very careful to not randomly lose to timely plus wrecker. Like, timely really turns this matchup upside down. Like, if they don't have timely, the matchup is so much easier. But if they have timelies, then they just have that extra late game that makes it harder.
And I actually felt very good because at times in the Green Sabine thread, I've been the lone man, screaming from the hill about timely. It's been, I think, 2 or 3 of them in all of my Sabine lists. I thought Will used it very, very well.
Yeah, my games against Will were all really close. We played 3 really close games in round 9. It was the first round of day 2. I got paired up into him. But I beat him game 1, and then games 2 and 3, he just crushed me with multiple timelies. It was so hard to overcome it.
Did he put in the fighters for you?
Yeah, he had fighters. Mm-hmm.
I think he was respecting Qi'ra with that 3 of in the sideboard, because that's a good card.
And there's even more stuff they can run for Qi'ra. And in fact, I played against 2 of Will's teammates at the PQ, and their sideboard had even more anti-Qi'ra. They had open fires in the sideboard, which are for the Qi'ra. I'm pretty sure, I can't say 100% sure, but pretty sure that a big part of it was for Qi'ra, to be able to kill her on her flip.
All right. So, Whoop, just general, what are you thinking about as you start a Sabine match?
Yeah, so you're from turn 1, you're thinking about your flip turn and how you're going to maneuver that turn. Whether or not you ramp or not is going to affect that, of course. Now, I like to ramp in this matchup. I don't think it's as required as it was in the ECL version, where really the games where you were able to ramp into an ECL target flip turn were worlds apart from the games where you didn't. But here, because you are insulated by so much more life, you can just try to play. You do have outs to not ramping, but yeah, managing that flip turn, knowing when to flip, knowing what cards you need to keep in your hand. So yeah, I know everyone says flip barrage, flip barrage, flip barrage. Doesn't happen that often. Doesn't happen really that often that you're flipping into a barrage on 5 resources. It's so telegraphed. They have so many ways to play around that and end your game basically on the spot if you do that in a poor spot. Often the barrage is coming the turn after. Sometimes even you just barrage preemptively if you have a unit in play. There's all kinds of different mini games. I really liked having Pike Sentinel and the Phase Trooper in the deck. Because you can go double Sentinel on your flip turn and just really churn actions and waste their time. Remember, Sabine can't actually attack through either of those Sentinels without getting pumped first. So it just kind of annoys them and makes them have to spend resources once they're down in resources, and they can't they can't one-shot your Qi'ra. Now maybe it's a time to flip. It's also not always a time to attack with her. You might flip and claim preemptively or something like that, just so you can lead next turn with that barrage or whatever it may be, right? And we say barrage a lot, the games where you draw it, you're going to win a lot of those games, but you can win without it too. It's possible. It's just, they have to respect that from the start of the game, and you have to think about that turn from the start of the game, because the biggest mistakes I see with this deck in general are resourcing decisions where you just end up with clunky hands because you didn't plan out your turns ahead, especially that 6 resource turn, which is often the ugliest turn that Qi'ra has. It's doesn't really play any 6 drops. Like Vigilance is the only card that actually costs 6, and it's like kind of anemic. It's often like a turn where you need to kind of piecemeal cards, but if you didn't resource correctly, you can get blown out. And then, like Tatta said, if you have the option to like clear ground and then stay in space and avoid that record timely, that's great. Otherwise, Reinforcement Walker is probably where you want to get to, because if you get to a walker with like any sort of life buffer, it's very difficult for them to win from that point.
Gunship, a pretty good card into Sabine.
Yeah, gunship.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, like, and that's a great way to like turn the corner on her way earlier than like they might think, right? Like, I just slam face a lot, like even early in the game. Pike Sentinel, Inferno 4, just like, even if I'm losing initiative often, like I think people claim too early also against this deck, just thinking that they had like claim, just protect myself, and well, if the first thing you're going to do isn't like wipe the board with a barrage, there's very little claiming early actually does. Just get your chip damage. It's going to matter. Like, you just need like one less turn of them drawing off the top of their deck, right? Like, it's all it takes sometimes. But Gunship is like the best way at doing this, because it's going to start doling them for 5 a turn, or sometimes even 7.
And like I was going to say, like, Gunship often comes up. So if you ramp and go on 5 resources, so we have the same flip turn, what happens a lot of the time is that you'll flip, they'll use their ECL on like a K2 to trade K2 for your Qi'ra. And then you can just play Gunship after that. Even if it doesn't kill anything, now you have this threat in space that's threatening like a 5 damage OB. If you shield it now, it's a 7 damage OB, and that kills everything. So
it's almost certainly going to kill something when you play it too. If they have any unit in play,
oftentimes it does.
It gets halved by the Qi'ra, right? So
yeah.
As our excellent Qi'ra, talked about, shout out to Sim making that. All right, you said turn the corner in the middle of that, and I know that's something you do very well. First off, what do you mean by turning the corner?
Hit your opponent's base.
Right.
Kill them before they kill you.
Right. And
pretty much, yeah.
I'll start this with a little bit of a story. You might recall this because we covered this PQ, but there's a Vocal Madison player. He actually just won the Chicago PQ with Hungary and Nick Stanton. And shout out, by the way, to Alex. I haven't DM'd him yet, but he wanted me to thank Alex because he just used his list with 1 change and did well. But if you recall a Madison event, I don't even remember what it was, probably 2-3 months ago in set 2, there was a Qi'ra that like missed lethal and was stuck in control mode. And I think you made a comment in the chat, woo, about it. It was actually him. That was the same guy. Yep. And I mean, he's really been at it, and he's been, working and testing. He's a part of our Galactic Cheese play group, that we test with, in the cheese state. But, what he's working on is turning the corner and going from kind of control mode to aggro, right? And nowadays, if you're on Vault, you're starting up 8 at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it's big. When they ping, I'm actually like kind of happy sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes for sure.
And I have the games against Sabines, when I'm playing. And I mean, if you watched my Vader Force Ramp video, I talked about Darth Crumb, which is just jacking Fallen Lightsaber on Darth Crumb. All the Sabines will start going base, and it takes them till like resource 5 when they realize they have 4 health left. And they either have Poe or they lose instantly. But it's the same thing. Vader starts with a 8 health advantage. You have to turn the corner, and I've definitely seen Sabines keep pinging when they clearly should not. They'll sacrifice initiative to help me get them closer to lethal. So let me turn that to you, Tatta. What are you looking at as far as when to start going base on Sabine as opposed to control mode? Is math involved?
Well, in the Sabine matchup, I think it's mostly obvious. Like, when you have the board mostly under control, is when you can start playing like your, sending your Vaders or your Mauls to their face rather than their random, like, maybe Battlefield Marine, they have in play. Like, you can't let things like Chewie, Poe, things like that sit and play. Like, you can't race those cards. But Well, I mean, typically, but you usually don't have to care about like, you know, here's a battlefield marine or here's a random space unit when you're on 8-9 resources and slamming like Maul's invaders.
Yep. All right.
Maul especially because of the overwhelm. Like, you know, like you need to account for all that damage that you're going to be able to like chip away at them. And, you know, if a Maul's going to overwhelm for 4 and you have a gunship in play that does 5, like if you, and they're at 13 or something, well, if you just hit them for 5, even if they have a space unit in play, and then Maul overwhelm, well, all of a sudden they're like in check, right? You have 2 lethal attackers in play. And if you don't need to, like, and if you trade with that gunship first, all of a sudden that isn't the case. You're not there putting them in check anymore, and you've given them more opportunities to draw out of it.
And from Sabine's share, because I play Sabine, and I've certainly played a lot into Qi'ra, trying to figure stuff out. I mean, sometimes you're in check and you don't know it, because the reason you're in check is you have like a 1 health ground unit, and Maul is going to come down, you know, and slam your face, you know, for 6. Okay. So, sideboard plan for Sabine. First off, do you always sideboard the same things every match?
No.
No.
Why not?
No. It's like, man, I always hate talking about sideboarding, and I know this comes up in every master class because, like, I don't like doing the same 1-for-1s every match, even if it's the same deck. Like, I never do it. I play by feel, like, more than anything. So it's like, if I just won the last game with, like, Devastator, you know, versus Sabine, like, maybe I'll keep him in. If I won with something else, like, you know, it's just typically. So what I did in Richmond is I knew the same cards were coming in, like the top targets were always coming in. I forget what else I had on my sideboard. Oh, the third No Glory and the top targets. They were always coming in, but different cards would come out. Like, I would side out the Avengers every time, but like, other than that, things changed here and there.
That said, what are you generally doing? Here, I can pop to your list. What are you generally doing for Sabine sideboard? What cards are
so I was boarding in. Typically, most often, it was like board in 3 top targets and the third No Glory, which isn't even in my sideboard right there. Maybe so instead of the second, the Annihilator, it was a third No Glory. Maybe I changed something right before I sent you the list. But so it was 3 top targets, 1 No Glory, and I would take out the two Devastators and like maybe a Super Laser Blast. Sometimes I might take out one of the Devastators. The Rival's Fall is oftentimes too slow. Just kind of depends on how the game's playing out. But your top end is, you know, where you look to trim usually, or at least for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the top end. Although I like Devastators more than I like Avengers, to be honest.
Same, yeah. I always cut right, and then I would often keep at least 1 Devastator. You know, it just kind of depends, because that's like a really good way to like close out the game against them.
I did it a little differently here because I was boarding in Child, since I was cutting the Devastators. I was cutting green cards. I cut both Devastators, Relentless, and a Restock, and I put in the 3 Childs and an Annihilator. I wasn't planning on playing the Annihilator ever. It was just blue. Yeah.
Okay. And so beyond that, I mean, both of you are tuning decks. Metas change as they go. If you thought that Sabine was the dominant deck at the event for whatever reason, what additional things would you consider doing to bolster that matchup? What kind of cards would help into a Sabine type aggro deck?
Man, that's a
we're working on it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's a fair question, and when we know, we'll let you know. But like, I think that Woo's on the right path here with like the extra sideboard sentinels instead of the top targets. Top target is you would think it'd be really good, but it's super awkward. Like, it's kind of like minus a card. Like a lot of the times,
problem is the minus card.
Yeah, and like it's hard to recover that card, and oftentimes like going down a card just to gain some life like is kind of a negative exchange. Whereas like just making a big sentinel is kind of the same thing but better, because then you can OB. So I think he's on the right path there. So maybe more sentinels early. I don't know. We're gonna try.
You can look at some of the space sentinels. You can look at client. I mean, there's like, things that say heal, things that say sentinel. Look at the options, and like maybe we find something a little better than what's been kind of the typical.
Right. Poe can also remove top targets, which is relevant to Sabine matchups.
Yeah, like if you're at a point where that's happening, like you've either done something very wrong or like, you know, you're always going to lose anyway. But that is a good point. Yeah.
Right. All right. So let's talk about, you know, one that close to my heart. This is Michael's Quinnlan Vos from Richmond. I think he had a clean sheet to the final, and then Will took him out. But what is your general game plan to Quinnlan?
Like,
well, yeah, you go ahead.
I mean, yeah, we're probably going to say roughly the same thing, but it's like a lot of times against Quinnlan, like the game is kind of awkward. Is that like you're happy not doing anything at all? Like you're totally happy just playing resource and passing until infinity. And I think a lot of the less experienced, you know, Quinnlan players will be happy with that as well, and you know, end up losing. Like I think my feature match, if you go back and rewatch it, it was the round 12 feature match. It was the last round of Swiss.
And that VOD will be out soon. You know, it's a good one.
Sweet, yeah.
Yeah, with you.
Yeah, and it was game 2. My opponent just, like, we just passed back and forth for the first 5 turns of the game, I think it was. Maybe first 4 turns of the game. And, like, he just had either an awkward hand or thought that he was advantaged there, and it kind of punished him. And I had, like, 12 cards in hand or something.
I talked with him after he bricked. I mean, that's what he said, which, you know, and he was on Rebels Quinnlan, which, if anything, should be a little bit better into Qi'ra.
Right.
And a little bit less likely to brick.
Maybe he resourced awkwardly to be in that spot. I'm not sure, but he played all 3 force throws, all 3 like Ahsoka's, Sparks. It was kind of a weird game. But going back to like how you play this matchup, it's just a lot of passing. Make them do something and then kind of react to it.
All right.
If the first turn unit you're playing is not named Dr. Pershing, then you're probably not. You're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't play a unit on turn 1 if it's not Pershing. And I think that's probably right there going to be the biggest level up for a lot of people. Throwing out a Pike Sentinel or an Inferno 4, even a Hylobon is not going to achieve anything for you other than essentially gain you 3 life. It is the biggest reason why people end up on that Qi'ra flip turn or the turn after with no cards in their hand is because they wasted one of them doing absolutely nothing on turn 1. Just pass. You don't need to play anything on turn 1. This is going to be true for a lot of matchups right now, especially in this version of Qi'ra. Yeah. Turn 1 is not a required play.
So I want to highlight something. So what's a better use for that Hylobon into Quinnlan? Woo. You said this in your video.
Or it's a force throw buffer. It can really end the game on the spot. A lot of the time, you'll end up flipping Qi'ra into a board that has 2 power units. You can kill one of them and leave her at 2. And then if they have like an Ahsoka in play or a force throw in hand or something like that, they might fire that off and lose the game on the spot if you have that Hylobon. I do like keeping him. I like keeping the 2 drops too sometimes. Like that's effective as well. On that, one thing you do want to note about the Qi'ra flip turn is like if you have the option to attack into a 2 power unit instead of a 3 power unit, you should take the 2 out, because then Plo Koon can't just ping and kill her, right? If she's a 7/1, Plo Koon comes down, just pings her, she dies. He doesn't need to ambush. As a 6/2, he either has to slam into it, which, yes, you should do catapult. You'll never lose that game if Plo Koon has to ambush into a 6 power Qi'ra. But
you're hurting my Qi'ra numbers, you know, as Quinnlan right now. You wouldn't believe how many times I Plo Koon ping on 6, resource 6, into Qi'ra because they attack to 3.
Yeah, and it's look, if it's the 3 is the only thing in play, I'll still probably just do it because then okay, sure, you plow. I probably just kill the plow with like a power or something, and then like sure, you got an empty board, you Quinnlan, you play a 2-drop, you hit me, but now I'm going into my 7 resource turn. I probably only have like 7 damage on my base, and you're getting mauled, invadered, out of games, right? Like that's the big thing here is like sure, you'll probably take the board back on your Quinnlan turn, but if I can chain a Vader into a reinforcement walker, there's very little that a Quinnlan's going to be able to do about that kind of board. It does not play any removal for these units. It's like waylay or bust, and like waylay doesn't really do that much, and a lot of them don't even play waylay anymore. So yeah, you have to insulate. It's the discard. Like that's what's going to get you, but like you would be super surprised at how important 1 extra card on turn 1 will be. It's just a world of difference if you just don't throw 1 away to play repair, which is what Pike Sentinel is. He is casting repair. That is all he does in this matchup on turn 1. And don't do it. Just don't do it.
Right. And I thought you did that very well. I mean, you obviously have Porg, coming in the next set. If you really are getting blown up by Quinnlan, just take it and don't cast it. I mean, but I do that. I win, like if I look at my splits on Swoo Stats, I'm way positive into basically all the Quinnlans. I mean, one thing I always typically do with any deck is just hold a card in my hand. And I could play it, right? I could play this thing. I just don't. I ran Salvage in Chicago for Quinnlan. If you hold that, it's both an event for and
I don't think you need to go that hard. I think like a Qi'ra average hand will beat a Quinnlan good hand. A Qi'ra good hand is probably just not going to lose most of these games. It would need to. Now we're talking like the Quinnlan double force throw, triple force throw kind of games where like if they can get you on like extreme redundancy on the discard. Even that you can top deck out of it sometimes. Like your deck is just filled with firepower. Sometimes you just rip the Vader. It's like, okay, like it didn't matter. But the avenues for winning are the like multi-discard chains, and they will get you sometimes, but you do have the tools to kind of avoid most of them if you just like play a little safer with your cards. Play a little safer with your Qi'ra flip, right? Like I said, don't waste her on a 3 power. If you can use her on a 2 power, that will usually guarantee a 2-for-1 instead of a 1-for-1.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out too that Michael was playing 3 main deck Sparks, and I think most of the Quinnlan decks aren't on 3 main deck Sparks.
I would be if I was going to an event that had Woo at it. And also,
I think, I really agree with that.
Yeah, now it's correct for sure.
I love
like
jam communications into Qi'ra, and I don't know if that's there, but I mean, being able to...
It could help, but like honestly, Qi'ra's not beating you with the events. It just beats you because it plays Vader, Maul, and Walker, right? Like these are cards that Quinnlan has a very difficult time dealing with. If you hit a well-timed jam, especially in that mid-turn, like Barrage, of course, we're talking like jam is there to try to snag that card out of their hand.
It's not only there. I mean, as long as you hit an event. So I mean, typically what you're doing is you're sparking. I mean, if I have sparked into Qi'ra turn 1, that's what I play. Okay, if they have a bunch of events and I come across a jam, I'll use it to clear the events. But you got to get Qi'ra to top deck. You'll never beat Qi'ra if she's...
I'll tell you right now, you sparked me turn 1. I'm pretty happy about that. Means you didn't play a unit.
Well, that's what it is, but I think that actually if you can stop ramp, it's worth it.
Keep double ramp. If you have 2 ramp in your opener, you keep both just in case someone wants
now you do, yeah, because of spark. But I would almost always prefer them to just play some random unit turn 1, typically, because they're not going to kill you with it. Like, you'll take some damage, who cares? But
you got to get enough discard, because I do think that the key to Qi'ra in the matchup from the other direction is getting it so that you're just pulling whatever off the top of the deck by the time you're on 6 or 7. I mean, if you've saved the Vader and you've saved the curve that you need there, I mean, you're dead on board. Yeah. I mean, you will not...
You're going to have these palp returns post-board, which are also going to like majorly shift this dynamic, because now your Ahsokas and Force throws can be a liability.
Remind me if that's a unit or event.
That's an event. Are you talking for jam? Yeah, sure. I mean, if your whole deck is mono discard, it also just means you're not doing anything too, right? So like you have to be able to like, if Qi'ra, the one issue with like the massing sparks and jams can become that, well, now Qi'ra just plays a person, right? Like, you play a perimeter ATRT. You play a devastating gunship. Like, you're just ahead on board now, right? You're a 25 life base. We just talked about this with Sabine. Like, I have a gunship in play. You were busy sparking and jamming my hand. Take 5, take 5, take 5. Like, that's going to add up too, right? So don't be afraid as the Qi'ra player to, like, put pressure on yourself. You can be the aggro. And I have a lone pike in here too, which also is a very good card against this strategy.
I said that we should, I said in the Quinnlan thread, you can find it, that we should view everybody cutting Lom Pike as a disrespect to Team Quinnlan, because that is a very, very good card into us. We will be back on Late Night Live sometime soon, and he and I will just wrap this up then. We'll actually play some cards to figure the rest of this out. Let's talk about Quinnlan's sideboard. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's a 3 palp returns. I think that's the only thing I would bring in.
And it is
I don't think I boarded in much either against Quinnlan. It was, the 3 palps returns, and I think I might.
Oh, the no glory. You had the no glory.
Yeah. I had no glory as well. Yeah.
So say that the conditions are such that Quinnlan or an archetype like it, that's a discard archetype, is the dominant deck. What tweaks to your deck list are you considering making that might help that? I think we talked about one a second ago.
Yeah, I mean, I would have like 3 Lom Pikes in the deck or something like that. Like that card is probably like an absolute beast in there.
Yeah, I mean, Lom Pike, and then like also just not playing anything turn 1 is really good against discard. I mean, that's just like drawing 2 cards, right? Like, because if they're just making you like discard 1 card, you're just trading 1 for 1. It doesn't really matter, as long as both players aren't doing something turn 1.
All right, let's get to our next meta matchup, which is a very, very strong deck. Han Green. This can be built multiple ways. This is Alex's list, which is very, very good. What are you looking to do as Qi'ra into Han? It's relatively strong into Han as far as against Han Green goes. Is that true?
I mean, I have no problem against Han. I've never lost the Han with Qi'ra. I mean, like ever. And it's just like, I mean, all the games play out
you sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Sometimes they can cheese you, but usually the game just plays out the same way. It's like sometimes they try to Chewbacca you. It's like, okay, then you have no glory, or you traitorous them. It's just like if you can just stabilize at some point, like they can't kill you. It's not even possible for them to kill you after a certain point.
Yeah, so you want to keep those traitorous and no glory in case they try something with pilots. I honestly don't think they should. I think even Alex would tell you that he never pilots against Qi'ra because it's just a trap. But a lot of people will, so like you gotta have your out for it.
Wait, are you telling me Chewbacca can be played to the ground arena?
Yeah, and he's quite good down there.
Right. Does Alex play Chewbacca to the ground arena against
when they ramp and you don't, they'll probably win. But that's not going to happen very often. And you can still recover from it. It's just challenging. They have Qi'ras in their deck, so play around that, right? Like sometimes it means play your card before something else, so that your turn doesn't get bricked by Qi'ra, right? Like if I have ramp in my hand and a guy in play, I'm ramping. I'm not attacking with my guy first. Like this is general tips about playing around Qi'ra in general. It's not just Han specific.
Save something for their techs. Like that's something you always have to watch out for is tech.
Right.
Yeah, and like not even that early. There's no DJ anymore, right? Like tech is not when tech's on 6 resources. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Yep. Like if you want to play like a Falcon from your row, like that's fine. It's when he starts getting into like when he can play like a U-wing from the resource row or like stuff like that is when you need to be a little more concerned. And yeah, they have the ambushers that can one-shot Qi'ra, the Hans and the blue leaders. So like, all right, don't let that happen, right? These are little things that you need to be aware of so that you can sequence your turns around it. But yeah, when you ramp and they don't, you should feel really good. There's not a lot that can go wrong for you from there. And when you both ramp, the game will be closer. They can't really deal with like a stuck big thing most of the time. It's just finding a way to get them down. And like Avenger's not very good in this matchup, to be honest. It's like...
But Devastator is. Yes.
Devastator is because he locks down an arena while he kills something in the other arena. Avenger often will just not do enough when you play it. But I think the Architon's Assault Cruiser is gas. That will be very good. Because it will immediately kill the highest priority space threat, including anything that's piloted, including Home 1, stuff like that.
And then it'll ramp it. And then eventually what Woo's going to do is steal a tech and actually play it against him, right?
That did happen. Not against this deck, but against the Ray deck.
Yeah, just your late game is so much better than theirs. Like, you have Vaders and Mauls and Walkers, and they have like an Enfys Nest and a couple Hans. Like, they'll never win that battle.
And it's not that, it's that there's not an answer in Heroism Green to stuff like Devastator, right? I mean, it's not that he's missing a card here that could be, at least it doesn't exist.
No, yeah. They have to be pushing enough damage. The games you'll lose that they've been aggressive. You can't find a good spot for like an Avenger, right? Because they have too many units in play. You have to like play an expensive card, and then they can like play multiple cards, and they can keep doing this, right? They could poke damage, play a couple cards, poke damage. Oh, here's Leet. Leet's very difficult. You're at 8 life. Leet's really annoying because you need like 2 actions to get rid of it, right? He can force an early claim, or he can come in, surprise strike, hit you for 4. Now you need to like spend multiple actions getting rid of it. Your opponent plays a Falcon. Oh, I have to claim early. I have to like first action play Super Laser Blast, rebuild, right? They're like chipping away. If you can get enough life though, and like really get that Devastator down, or if you ever get a good barrage off, to stabilize that way, you'll be pretty good.
So when are you turning the corner, do you think, typically against a Han Green? I mean, you start as more the control than the aggro. Yes.
Yeah. You just, look, if you're Qi'ra, they sometimes lose the game on the Qi'ra flip turn. Mm-hmm. It's just like they don't have the thing. You flip, you barrage, they can't flip their leader. You're just like, all right, I guess we'll go through the motions for the next 4 turns. You start pushing damage that way. If you had a gunship in play, you'll start hitting for 5 a turn or something. And like, yeah, you don't need to be that like, I think in this, it's not like that sophisticated. Like in the Sabine matchup, sometimes you do need to like cheat base attacks instead of clearing units. Here, like, you mostly can just do whatever you want once you've stabilized. You can just like hit base. You can not. You can.
Wu said it perfectly. It's like your flip turn, or really their flip turn, is really the point where you want to start turning the corner on them. Like you want to deal with their leader, and then you can just start. Like after that point, it doesn't matter what they do.
All right. What are you sideboarding for, Han? Currently, typically.
What did I start? I played Han like 3 times in Richmond.
You probably just put in the No Glory. I can't imagine
the No Glory.
else.
And I don't think Palp Returns, no. Top Targets, no.
Yeah, and then it was just
Annihilator, no. Yeah, no. It was just a No Glory. Yeah.
I have more. I have the Architons, and I would board in the Chilton actually, because he even a 5/5 Chilton actually just breaks the Han flip turn. So I would just bring him in.
All right.
Yeah.
Next match.
He was already in Tatta's decks.
Okay, so this is the newcomer, and one of them. This is Pasquales. Did I say that right? You said
Pasquale.
Pasquale. Yep. A good player. He won a pretty big PQ, I think, with it the day after Hyosera took it to Lille. Kind of a hero value pile deck. What's your game plan?
Kill everything. Everything. Just keep killing all the units. None of the units are any good. And I mean that with like love. I don't think this deck is bad, but I think most of the cards in the deck are bad, but I don't think the deck is bad. It really just makes bad cards good. And there's a ton of them. They just like never stop. It literally it takes. You sometimes don't win by decking them out. You win by killing every card in their deck. Like, it's not because you tried to mill them. It's just you had to kill everything. But yeah, like this is another one of those games where like that Qi'ra flip turn, like if you have a gunship, you have a traitoress, you have a barrage, you have maybe even a lone pike. I did that one time. Like a way to like really get far ahead on that turn it can be very tough for them to recover. You're going to be slamming Vaders and Mauls before they have a chance to really build up enough units to deal with your stuff. But if they can make all that awkward for you, and they can sometimes, Village Protectors is annoying. Akbar can sometimes like really like finish off a unit that got some value, right? A Qi'ra that might have attacked into something. A Pershing, like they can kill Pershing pretty easily in this matchup.
And good players of this deck are playing the chumps, and they're bringing up with Bright Hope. You know, they're drawing. You know, they're getting.
Yeah, they're drawing. They're just drawing a lot of cards. They get a lot of card advantage. Now, like most of these cards don't matter, right? As individuals, like Mon Mothma is not a real card. It's just like, but you still kind of have to kill it, because if you don't, it can Fleet Lieutenant into something. It can get pumped by something. It can draw a card off Bright Hope. It can like be extra health in play for like to soak up damages from barrage. It's just like more and more cardboard essentially that they're putting into play.
It's just like the ultimate value deck, right? Like it even has like the tech plus Spark of Hope combo where they just have like infinite techs, right? So like you kill their bright or their home one. It's like, okay, well they can just like Spark of Hope the home one and then just like tech it out later. It's just like the ultimate value deck. All of their units are just random chumps. They just make more random chumps, and they get pumped by Ray. So that's all the deck is.
Yeah, I forget who.
They have takedown to kill your Qi'ra flip on flip, so that's something you need to look out for. They have entrenched, which can like post Qi'ra flip, they can entrench one of their units, and then all of a sudden, like it can just kill Qi'ra, right? Like these are little nuances, but like all it takes is one of these things to go bad for you, and you can really be on your back foot. And this is like, again, I say this a lot. It's like kind of true of any matchup you play with Qi'ra. It's just like if you don't maneuver her flip turn well, you will lose a lot of games, because so much of the game revolves around that turn and like the turn right before and the turn right after. They're way more important. Like everyone can play Vader. It's not difficult. Like you get there, they have a unit that Vader kills. You play Vader. It kills the unit. It makes another guy, and like you win. Like, right, cool. But you never get the opportunity to do that. If like I flip Qi'ra and you Fleet Lieutenant your Clone Deserter into my Qi'ra, or not clone, I guess I picked the only non-rebel. How did I do that? Your Mon Mothma that was pumped by an experience. You kill my Qi'ra, and I didn't think about that when I flipped. And now I'm like, oh, I have barrage. I resourced my gunship. I guess I lose now, right? Like, you have to know, like, the only way you can play around this stuff is like to know what all the cards in the deck, right? Like, what can kill Qi'ra? Takedown can, Fleet Lieutenant if they have a 2-power rebel, Akbar if they have 3 units in play. What if they play a Village Protectors after my flip? These are all like little things that you need to understand. Like, how do I play around every single one of them? And once you know one like that sequence, you change the way you resource throughout the game, right? And in those early turns to get into that flip turn.
Yeah. And I think it was your first Qi'ra video, if I recall right, when you talked really extensively about Qi'ra flip. And kind of in the more recent ones too a little bit, but you know, that's certainly crucial. I think I saw Craw playing Qi'ra into a Ray Vault, both very good players. Crawza did very well in Richmond too. I think he was close to top 8 himself. But what struck me about the game, now that you guys have talked, is that he was counting like their home ones and Lukes. He's like, where are the home ones? Where are the Lukes? He was going through the discard pile, just trying to figure out what threats were still left that were actually big enough to matter. And Luke
those are basically the 2 only like real unit threats. Like the rest is just chaff. It's just like an overwhelming amount of it. Like when they U-wing into a Mon Mothma, a C-3PO, and an Akbar, and Akbar kills a guy, Mon Mothma draws a card, and like C-3PO maybe draws a card. It's like, oh, okay, now you still have 5 cards in your hand. They're all 1/4s, but like there's a lot of them coming.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you know, the card drawn with Mon Mothma is 100% revealed, and you get to know it and pay attention to what it is. You know, whether you're testing digitally or in person, because whether it is Luke or something else is maybe a difference in how you want to tackle things. What are you sideboarding for Ray? That kind of deck. It would also be the same as like a Luke Green type deck, a Luke Vault deck, right? It's a similar concept, kind of like these big hero.
Those cruisers. This is probably the matchup they're at their best. I brought in the cruisers and I brought in the pouch returns because it can get pretty grindy.
Yeah, it's a very grindy matchup. Like, it's just a big grind fest. So, sideboard and everything that's good in those matchups, like Annihilators, things like that.
Right.
I actually didn't bring in the Annihilator because I had like cruisers. I didn't want to like overbulk. I know you didn't have the cruisers. It got to the point where I felt like I had just too many large units. But yeah, like Annihilator, of course, like if you can hit a home one and like rip the rest, if they hadn't been able to play multiples, then like that can be pretty devastating.
All right. Cad Bane. What are you trying to do into Cad? Let me start with Tatta. This is Daniel. This is Mephisto's list from Richmond. I think he did
Top 8 at.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let Woo go first. He has more experience in this matchup than I do.
He plays this sometimes.
Yeah, I like Cad.
Yeah,
I mean, I played Quinnlan a lot too. That's what I played at Denver. Cad is like Quinnlan in a sense. Like the early game is like kind of irrelevant. Like most of the units don't matter. Once again, it's like they have multiple ways to like make your flip turn awkward. Forlom can kill Qi'ra. McClunky, if Kira's the only unit in play, will kill her, right? That's a 4 damage play. The same way you would play around Spark turn 1, you play around Bazine. If you draw 2 ramp, you don't resource either of them in case they Bazine you on turn 1. Overall, though, yeah, this is another one of those that I just think it's going to be very hard for them to do 33 damage before you stabilize. It's this is not an aggressive deck. I think Cad Bane is kind of a control deck. It's just like a unit-based control deck.
Right.
All it's trying to do is value trade and overwhelm on board. It doesn't really get to do that well against Qi'ra. And yeah, like I don't have like that other than like, yeah, like you need to understand what can kill your Qi'ra on her deploy. They have champs and doulas post board. So like the ramp thing, I mean, it doesn't matter that much, but it matters a little bit.
They probably have lurking ties post board, right?
Sure,
Yeah,
but
probably.
That's just something you have to watch out for. But it's just another matchup where like they can't keep up with your onslaught of Vaders, Mauls, Walkers, like Avengers.
So what are you sideboarding for Cad?
Probably. I mean, I have the restock, so I guess that's coming out. I don't know. I would cut like restock and relentless, and I maybe put in like 2 Childsons. I don't like. There's really nothing. It's more about what you want to take out.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Like I'd sideboard in like my 3rd No Glory. I mean, Woo just has all 3 in the main deck now, which is 100% correct at this point. But I mean, you don't have a lot of sideboard for him. You don't really need it.
Yeah, and if you were going into Cad Tarkentone itself or a villain archetype like Cad, that is better. We think that kind of thing is the dominant deck, kind of like this villain, value control, thing. What could you do to tune your deck to improve?
Honestly, I would have more outs for Lurking Typhanum because that's like a way you could get cheesed out of this game. Like, I would like have backup for that Perilous Position.
Perilous is a good one.
Snoke's pretty good in this matchup.
I think Snoke's good into villain yellow in general, typically.
If you get there, like, yeah. I don't find him great in most places, but he'd be pretty good here, probably.
Agree with that. All right, newcomer on the scene. Han Data Vault. This is Crispy's list. There's multiple kinds. There's all kinds of things happening around because the list isn't really set yet. But did either of you have to play this in your run?
I have played against this deck, but not in Richmond.
Not in Richmond. So what's your strategy into a Han Data Vault that's similar to Crispy's list?
And not only one of his, actually, it says it in the deck name, Colby. He just win a PQ with a version of this.
Code Amron.
Yeah.
And he was a nice guy. We met him at Gencon. If you remember, he was the guy with the phone that streamed a little bit because they did absolutely nothing.
I met him at Beatle too, I think.
Yeah,
so.
He's a nice guy. And he was actually the original deck archetype. So shout out to Cole. He's a super nice guy. But what's your game plan? I mean, it's thought of as pretty good into Qi'ra. I can tell you that, just by reputation.
I won't even dispute that. I can see that being true.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another grindy deck. I mean,
It is.
it's a little faster than Ray, obviously, but it's just still like the same green hero, home one nonsense. But the crate dragons add like another element to it.
Yeah. Crate Dragon is definitely like, an early crate definitely is very impactful. But I would say even earlier, they have some cards that are problematic for Qi'ra, like Poe on turn 2. That makes 2 guys, right? Like the Poe pilot. That's very annoying for a Qi'ra deck. Champ Syndulla on turn 2. If you like ramp, right? Like these are just like, they have like all these like randomly really aggravating cards they can play early that mess with Kira's turns. And like life is actually not that important because Qi'ra, most of the removal doesn't look at life, right? Barrage is kind of the only card that cares about life. The rest is just like power, fell, takedown, whatever cards you may play. So like, who cares if it's a 6/6 Poe or a 6/4? It still needs the same Fell of the Dragon to kill it. But all of them are coming down a turn early.
All right.
So it does pose some of a problem. And yeah, like you need to make your value train beat their value train. It can very much happen. Like Vaders and Mauls and Walkers and Starships are still very good, but they can put a lot of pressure on you early with like big bodies that still require removal, like Hammerhead, right? 5 resource Hammerhead is like, it's a 5/5. It's a Millennium Falcon, like the 6-drop Falcon in space that probably kills one of your units, and you still have to fell it. Like you can't do anything else, right?
And I think choose sides is important to the Qi'ra matchup too. They're trying to use that to protect against Dev. So, say you have to go play a big event in Orlando where 3 of the top 4 were Data Vault at that PQ the other day. What are you potentially doing to your Qi'ra list, sideboard wise or otherwise, to help with this? Any thoughts? Put you on the spot.
What do you think? I don't know. This is like a brand new one.
Yeah,
I've barely
new one.
played against this deck, so
I mean, like, I'd maybe say more single target removal, but I don't even know if that's good. More interest for Poe, Riken, Hammerhead, things like that.
so maybe takedown. Like I actually didn't play
Takedown.
takedown in mine. You still had takedown in Richmond, right?
Yeah, I take down.
I think you're right. I mean, it might even be like Vanquish, just so you have like fells available if you get the crate happening. I don't know too.
Yeah,
I played.
I would want the 3rd Super Laser Blast. I'm on 2
Yeah.
right now. Tatta was still on 3, but I would probably want the 3rd Super Laser Blast.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those decks where they're not often playing 2 cards a turn. It's just you're playing one giant card a turn early. So as long as you have an answer for that one giant card, so maybe more single target stuff. Super Laser
Death
Blast.
Trooper actually, and it came up. I played against a Han 30 at the PQ, and like Death Trooper did a lot of work there because it can kill a Champ Syndulla that comes out early. It can kill the Poe pilot if they go like 3/1 and 2/2 in space. So like you can get a little value engine going early so that they can't like just keep catapulting forward.
Yeah, and I think that's right, and it actually might be one where ramping is a little less crucial just because of Cam, main decked, too.
Well, ramping on 2 probably isn't ideal in like a lot of cases. I
Unless
think you
they
can
spend,
still
right? You want them to spend first. That's
like I don't think you mind if they play Cham on like your 4 or 5 resource turn. Like who cares at that point? But you don't want them to like Cham on turn 2. Like that's very backbreaking.
Yep, and that happens a lot. Like you resupply into Cham is very, very common. Into this. I've played a lot of this list too.
Yeah,
and it's very good. You'll see it in Minnesota. So, I guess we'll go from there. Look at how the list changes. All right, mirrors. This is John's list. But what are you thinking about in mirrors? I think Woo talked about this one extensively in his video.
Yeah,
So we can
you put the restock goes into the main deck now. That was my mirror call.
Yeah, when Woo suggested restock, like I was not a fan. Like I really don't like restock. Like it's just so bad in a lot of matchups. But
I hate it. But
yeah, like if the mirror comes down to decking every time, like I haven't played one single Qi'ra mirror. Like, I hate playing mirrors. I just refuse. I'll figure it out on the fly. But if he says restock is good enough, then like I'll believe him and play restock. But I'm not happy about it. Mike mentioned the unit restock the other day.
Reprocess.
Yeah, reprocess, and that's yeah, that's interesting too, because you just put in like your big units and make some droids.
I mean, a bunch of chumps to
which
turn
are not
off power on the dark
irrelevant.
side. That guy's kind of good at cards. That's Bobby Sapphire, if anybody doesn't know.
So that's something that we could try too. But I mean, there's things you could do.
Right.
Yeah, shut up.
It's just trading units and events like all game. You literally just like barely ever get to attack anyone in this matchup. You have to be very patient with how you deploy your cards. There's a lot of passing. There's a lot of just like stalling out. You don't want to just be like jamming units that can get like free killed by Avenger, or Devastator, or Power the Dark Side. Like, you need to be like cautious on how you like deploy your stuff. And you don't want to over resource your weak stuff, I guess. Like, they're not all bad. Like, you don't want them very often, but like you need to be able to like
Inferno's Force pretty good.
I mean, yeah, like not early, but like you want it later. You want to like be able to like buffer for your Avenger or for their Avenger, or like, okay, like we're passing. Here's an ATRT. This card does something. Like, it with a shield, like it needs a card to kill it, right? Like, all of a sudden you put like weird units into play, a gunship, just like YOLO, right? Just put this guy into play because we don't want to put our Walker into play because the Walker will just die to a relevant card, right?
Yeah, you probably don't want to get your super laser tech like Traitorist or
that
No Gloried
or Mauled, right? Like
Mauled,
that damage sometimes really matters, even when the game goes to decking out, because now they're up a whole card draw step when that happens, right? If every 3 damage is 1/2 of a card draw step, so it all
let's
matters.
talk about turning the corner the other direction. I mean, when are you starting to like go to vigilance mode decking? I mean, do you always make Qi'ra discard
From the start of the game?
Turn 1, yeah.
Like
it's always on your mind.
If you find value, like they Vadered out, or not, like they Vadered into your Vader, okay, kill Vader mill 6, okay, that's a place where you could do it. They passed that they claimed early when you had 6 resources up. We're just gonna fire this thing off instead of playing a unit. We're just gonna like get it out of the way here. The best thing you can do with it is get value. Kill a guy, mill 6 is what you want it to do.
Right.
Almost like every time. That's the goal for it. What it does. Healing 5 can be relevant sometimes, but yeah, like milling needs to be like.
If there's no,
I never thought this would turn into a mill matchup, but I do firmly believe it has now become a mill matchup in the mirror, and that changes a lot about how you have to play.
And you're maining a restock just because you want to win game 1, if at all possible. Yes, that's the reason.
I want to win. I want to win game 2. Also, like if I'm the one with restock and they don't have it, I feel pretty good about that. It might not be the case anymore.
Yours, right? Yeah, the whole thing is like they have to mill yours. Like you could also have weird things where like you let them restock and then vigilance them. Just things like that. It's just weird vigilance side games where you have to figure out when to fire them off, when to, hold your last one. Like, I would never play my 3rd vigilance until, like, I know they don't have restock.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. One card that I think, it's probably the best card in the deck. It's not very good in the mirror. It's Overwhelming Barrage. I resource that card all the time in this matchup.
And not only that, speaking of Vader, I mean, I don't know if I said this, I should have, but like into stuff like Bosk, I mean, Barrage is not good. I mean, occasionally I'll cast it just because it was drawn, but that's a very
like if you can find, like I will, if I can use the Barrage to like kill their Maul or Vader or something, I will do that instead of using Fel. Like Fel and No Glory are like incredibly important because those always kill the big ships. And like those are your golden tickets. Like you do not want to burn those cards when you don't have to. Like every other removal, you rather burn through it if you can, instead of using the ones that are just like always going to kill a Devastator or always kill an Avenger.
Right. All right. Last one, Hard Control. I mean, it doesn't get played very much. at least in America. What's your game plan? I think Woo talked about this extensively in his video. And
I talk about everything.
Yeah, I know. But what do you?
We could.
What are you?
Tatta should cover this from like his non-restock, like because his deck did not have a restock, so like it would be different. It's kind of two different strategies now.
This is Duncan's list from Team Secret, by the way. I think he went deep at Richmond too. Did not top cut, but he was winning in the last round.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the list that I was playing in Richmond, like, I think has a tough time against Boss game one. Like, the strategy that we were kind of talking about and kicking around is just straight concede game one. Maybe play a few turns just to see how it's playing out. But it's very difficult to win a long game with Qi'ra, without, like, a lot of the key cards that we have on our sideboard. Like, the Palps returns are incredible. Like Relentless is incredible. And I didn't have those main deck. So yeah. I think after those, the matchup becomes very favorable because they can't continuously just keep, like killing those over and over and over again. Woo's list, which I'm sure he'll talk about here, he has like the restock. He has like
one main deck Relentless.
Yeah, so he has game against the game one. Like he's actually probably favored game one because
I would not be conceding. I actually don't know how they're supposed to beat you if you have that in your main deck.
Right.
I mean, they can mill your restock, but you have 10 more cards than them in your deck. You're both 3 Vigi, 1 restock decks, but you also just have like real units, and they have like 4 units in their deck, and they'll never kill you with damage, right? A boss can never kill you with damage. Right. Look at this deck. They have 2 Avengers, 2 Snoke, 2 Palps. None of those units matter, like not even remotely. That you have infinite removal for those units.
Right.
So they can't kill you with damage. They have to kill you with mill. Now, the problem is with game one, if you don't have like the deck that Tatta played, like you're conceding game one. I don't think you should get caught into like a 25-minute game one where you end up losing and then you have no chance of winning 2 in a row. So if you do end up playing Relentlesses and maybe even a restock in your main deck, then I think you just play it out. Like I don't know what they're like. I look at the deck. I'm like, what's the game plan? You have 10 more cards than them. You can mill them. Like
I mean, you can see. I think Duncan here is respecting here a little bit because he has some yellow. And splashing yellows there. I've had horrible luck. I've played Qi'ra in events. I've tested very, very well into Qi'ra, and I still placed well. I think I still, topped, one of the times I was on Qi'ra. But both the Qi'ra times I ran into a yellow-blue straight mill, villain deck. And that does feel awful, particularly in the first game. And I did actually have a main deck Relentless, but
one isn't actually enough is the problem, which is why I always advocated just like don't even bother putting 1 in. Just board in the full package, which is like 3 Palps returns and 2 Relentless. You've got 5 of them now, right? Like that's different. 1 they can get through. Not that you always need 1 to win. It's possible to win without even 1, but like like the first unit I play often in this matchup is Vader. Like I'm just passing.
Yeah.
I ramp and pass. Like it doesn't. Nothing you play early matters. You don't need to do any damage early. They're just gonna heal it off anyway. Like
now if they play Pershing, do you do with it?
Yes. Yeah. No. Then I would kill Pershing.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. I would kill Pershing.
But
or I will play Pershing too. Like
right.
Pershing is different. He's a different breed. All right. But yeah, like this is one matchup where, I mean, like, I've never felt like it's that much of a problem once you have, like, the plan and you board into it. Or now, if you're just, like, main decking to restock, I guess you just, like, don't even need to board into it. But I agree with what John said. Like, for game one, you are very unfavored if you, like, try to just play it out like a normal game. Like, you'll probably just get decked out.
Right. So, I mean, if this would be a sad thing, but if, like, a hard control matchup like this was the dominant deck, what would you be looking to possibly do to improve your odds?
I mean, just more of what we talked about, right? Like you want the Relentlesses, you want like, restock and or reprocess, like things like that. Just have a better late game or a better plan for the late game. So
extra copies, right?
Yeah, maybe even play like Bounty Hunter Crew, ourselves.
Nah, we can't go that deep.
Well, Bazine,
What about bring back Emperor's Legion? That's what I ran in set 1, where I still felt like blue-green villain was favored into these hard control decks.
Yeah.
I would just play Emperor's Legion instead of Palp's Return, but now you could just play both.
Man, we were even playing the 4-cost, was it Remnant Reserves? We were even trying that.
I tried that. It was whiffing too much, but...
Yeah. But, I mean, if that were the case, though, I mean, that you really thought, say, that Bosk won 2 huge things and nobody was getting to it, there would be things that you could do to improve your matchup. True.
There's a lot, right? 3 Relentless, 2nd Restock, 3 Palps Returns. You can play the Emperor's Legion for more recursion, reprocess, like Tatta said. Like, just all this
Returns
stuff.
Probably the biggest one, like, because they can't kill Relentless over and over and over again. Like, you'll stick it and be able to deal, 30 damage with it.
Yeah, and you can look to mill them too. Like, that's the other thing, is they often need to heal with their Vigis,
right?
And like might not be able to use them to actually mill you, and you can turn the corner with the mill game.
All right, so I think that is our matchups. This is the last slide. Just wanted to know, John, I did dress for the occasion. I have one of these.
Oh my!
So, all right.
I didn't know that there were more of those out in the wild. That's funny. I thought
now there are 2 of them. So
nice.
We'll see. I'll tell you what. You top the regional. You'll see it you'll see it on day 2. It'll get whipped out from the coverage booth. But
nice.
You guys both are coming to Minnesota. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, the whole K2D team minus maybe Maddie will be in Minnesota.
And huge shout out to KTOD. We'll have their stuff in the description here. I mean, I find that extremely valuable for all sorts of decks, Qi'ra included. And, a lot of these lists are discussed and play tested there. What I want to talk about is getting ready for a big event. This is going to be the last question. Both of you have won significant things. Both of you are capable of winning something like a regional or a Galactics. What are you doing between like now and Minnesota to get yourselves ready? Assume you're playing Qi'ra, whether it's true or not. I mean, what do you?
So these answers are going to be very, very different, which probably surprises.
It might actually not be different this time.
So I don't play a lot in between events until like a week or 2 before the event, and then I'll like talk to team and be like, okay, guys, here we go, because my work is pretty demanding sometimes, and it's like so I don't have a lot of time to even play prior to big events. So I haven't played at all, minus like a locals, since Richmond, which was, as of this recording, like 2 weeks ago. So here after this weekend I'll be free, and so what I'll do is I'll talk to the team in our team chat, figure out what we think will be the most popular decks, and then work together to figure out the best sideboard, and then just jam those matchups. Jam against Sabine, play against like this new Han deck, figure out lines. But that's just how I operate. I've been playing card games for almost 25, 30 years now, and that's just always,
And I do want
to work out.
Drill down with you specifically to one thing, because you've won on a whole bunch of different decks at this point, and I mean, you're doing that. I mean, I think Woo's changes the list, probably become the Qi'ra list. But say that you're taking, a list that a teammate made. What are you potentially doing to tweak it to your play style? Or, I mean, I've seen you change a couple of cards, but what's going in your mind as you get to that? If you know you're not the architect, but you're working on someone else's list.
So I am very fortunate to be on a very good team. Like, everyone on the team is very, very good. I respect all their opinions. Like, I have never been in that, spot before. Like, so being in the spot that I'm in, like, I can just ask them, like, hey, why is this card in here? And they'll give me like a very good answer. So I won't change it. Like, I didn't change any card from, Woo's list for Richmond. I mean, other than the one Onyx, but that's kind of like a meme at this point. Like, I trusted every card in the deck. I knew why it was in there, so I didn't really change anything. So I try not to change anything unless, like, it's just, underperforming.
For what it's worth, when I play Qi'ra, I play the exact list from Woo's Patreon. That's exactly what I do.
But
because
that's true.
I don't have the brain power to
for
figure out
all the decks.
1,000 different decks, right? I mean, I try to update
so,
Vader, I try to update Quinnlan, but
sets 1 and 2. I just played like CJ and Justin Sabine deck, trusted them, and it just worked out. Then like in set 3 a little bit, I played Django, just kind of worked out.
I almost got my Django list sleeved. I would have played exactly, Mike's list, which was really freaking good.
But the main thing, like just the whole TLDR is just like trust your teammates, like they put in the work with these decks, and you just kind of have to trust them and roll with it.
All right. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely play more than him, although I really haven't played since this weekend, and I'm kind of decompressing a little bit. I also just don't think enough is changing right now to warrant insane amount of bashing your head right now. I feel pretty comfortable about what I think of the meta, what I think of the decks that are there. Maybe a few days before we'll try to see if there's any sideboard shifts for this deck, or if it's going to be another deck that maybe we think is maybe better positioned. I think there's a triumvirate. There's 3 decks right now that I think are the tier 1, which is Han, Sabine, and Qi'ra. There's
sorry about that.
The decks that I think are kind of falling down a little bit in terms of their tier level, maybe Quinnlan, Cad, and Anakin, I think are kind of trickling downwards. And then this Rey and Han are the newcomers. And those are probably the 2 decks that need the most attention right now because they are new, especially the Han deck. The Rey deck, that's old news now. That's 2 weeks old.
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to say maybe the Rey deck would be more popular because it's the newest, quote unquote new thing. But yeah, we'll see.
Actually, there was a bunch of Han data vault by us too. I was working on that before I took some of Crispy's stuff, ran a different thing. All right.
Yeah.
And then you brought up sideboarding. I mean, do you keep a sideboard guide on your Patreon? I know the answer.
I made one just because you asked me to for the list that I played at the PQ, and I wrote a disclaimer. Deck changes all the time. Since then, the deck has already changed. So the sideboard guide,
it's nice to have a sideboard guide if you're picking it up.
Look, you have ideas. If you understand the ideas behind it, then you can modify it for how the deck changes. But yes, I don't often like making them.
That's a great point that Woo just said. Is that you as a player, okay, you never want to do exactly what someone tells you to do with sideboarding every time.
Right.
You want to understand why the cards are coming in and then make your own decisions on what should come out usually.
Yeah, and if somebody on your Patreon tier asked you why you're doing or suggesting this possible to that, would you answer that question for him, Woo, and help explain it to him?
Yeah, I even if they're not on my Patreon tier, I answer that question.
I can confirm that because I DM him random crap.
People DM me. People ask in the KTOD Discord. Someone messaged me on Facebook and I responded. But yeah, if you're on the Patreon, you get a little more. You get all the decks. You in the second tier, you get literal masterclass streams 3 times a month that you can hear me talk or guest talk. John's been there. Alex just did a green Han with me. It was 2 hours long. We just broke that down. But I try to share, not just behind a paywall too. I talk to people all the time. I just out of respect for people that do pay, I don't just splash my lists all over the place.
and we all, I think, agreed on the goal of today is to help people win with Qi'ra. I mean, it's great that it's become the thing. I mean, I thought about doing this right after Gencon. Actually, I think it took a little minute for everybody to get on Qi'ra, but I mean, it might be the top dog right now. I mean, it's probably Qi'ra Han.
It is. It's good, yeah.
So, all right. So, any final thoughts for helping somebody prepare, and then we're going to wrap this sucker up?
No, I mean, not for me. I love to talk and be heard. I mean, sometimes for better or for worse. So, if anyone ever has any questions, I'm always active in the K2D Discord.
Yeah, he's called Professor Numpty for a reason. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I think this is exceptionally helpful. I mean, if you didn't get, the knowledge here for, Qi'ra and how to tweak things, I don't know what else we can do. So if you've watched this far, you now have your doctorate in Qi'ra Green. And thanks, you are my hero. Later.